We got some new developments about the 5 members of Congress that Donald Trump has called to have prosecuted under seditious conspiracy and to have hanged because they released a 90-second video reminding American service people that they have an oath and an obligation to the Constitution not to follow unlawful, unconstitutional orders. Donald Trump didn't like it. He had Pete Hegseth go after Mark Kelly, Senator Mark Kelly, who's a retired Navy captain, to have him court-martialed and censured because of that First Amendment speech. They also, Donald Trump has his prosecutors in Washington, led by Jeanine Pirro, go after Elissa Slotkin, another United States senator. And now I'm going to give you the developments in both cases. I'm Michael Popok. You're on Friday morning on Legal AF. Let's start with Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly, Space Shuttle commander, married to Gabby Gifford, United States Senator. He participated in that 90-second video. I'm going to show you the video in a moment. And now he rushed to court first in D.C. to sue Pete Hegseth to stop any kind of court-martial, reduction in rank, or any other censure by the military, arguing primarily that he is a sitting United States senator who has oversight capacity over the executive branch. This is being done to punish and censure him, chill his legislative speech, his speech and debate, and chill his First Amendment speech. That case was assigned to Judge Richard Leon, a Bush appointee. Judge Leon is also the judge presiding over Donald Trump's teardown of the East Wing and the ballroom. He's already expressed that he finds many of the arguments made by the Department of Justice on Donald Trump's behalf to be incredible, not believable, in the ballroom case. Now, fast forward to a hearing that was held just yesterday in front of Judge Leon, in which the temporary restraining order to block the censure was up for grabs. And during that hearing, a very skeptical Judge Leon, let's just put it this way, was the Grand Inquisitor for the lawyer John Bailey for the Department of Justice and for the Defense Department, who ultimately argued that the Code of Military Justice still applies to retirees and that these retirees have less First Amendment rights than other people. And the judge said, let's unpack this. I know you keep calling the senator a retiree, but he is a sitting United States senator who also has speech and debate privilege powers for doing oversight, legislating, and things like that. And he has First Amendment rights. Plus, he sits on a number of committees that provide oversight and are critical of the Trump administration and the Department of Defense. So Judge Leon said to the lawyer, cite for me one United States Supreme Court case or a District of Columbia Circuit Court, appellate court case in which a sitting United States senator is allowed to be censured by the executive branch in the Department of Defense. I'm waiting. And of course, there is no case. And so John Bailey, I give them credit. They continue to dig holes for themselves, even when there's no way out in argument in these hearings. And he kept relying on Code of Military Justice, and he's a retiree and First Amendment rights without recognizing all the things that Senator Mark Kelly said in his briefing about his position, his status, his privilege as a senator, the committees that he serves on, providing oversight, and his First Amendment rights. Now, to remind you about what that video was all about, let me play you the 90-second video. Play it.
I'm Senator Elissa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris Deluzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
Who take risks each day
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
So focus now on Kelly. In a moment, I'm going to go over to Elissa Slotkin and what's happening in her case. So based on the hearing, I would be shocked if Judge Leon, who's already not happy with the ballroom construction, and I think is about to do a stop work order related to that. In this case, I would be shocked if when he issues his order, we haven't gotten it yet, but when he issues his order, if he doesn't put a stop to the censure by the military of this retiree United States Senator Mark Kelly from Arizona. Now, Mark Kelly had something to say about this as well following the hearing. Let's play Mark Kelly.
There's nothing more fundamental to our democracy than the freedom of speech and the freedom to speak out about our government. And that's what I'm fighting for here. I appreciate the judge's quick and careful consideration in this case, given what is at stake here. A lot is at stake. Hey, I wore the uniform to defend this country and to defend the Constitution. Secretary Hegseth censured me and is now trying to demote me for things that I said and for doing my job as a United States Senator. And in this case, we have the Constitution on our side. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
In fact, on the Senate floor, Kelly took on Pete Hegseth. On January the 12th, in a Senate floor speech, he said the following: Pete Hegseth's unconstitutional crusade, I think you need to change that to Donald Trump, against me sends a chilling message to every retired member of the military. If you speak out and say something that the president, the Sec of Defense doesn't like, you will be censured, threatened with demotion, or even prosecuted. Now, so that's what's going to happen there. Now, remember, or I'll tell you for the first time, here's what Donald Trump had to say at the time this came out, when the video came out. He said, their words cannot be allowed to stand seditious behavior from traitors. Lock them up. He even suggested, Trump, that George Washington would have hanged them. I love when he compares himself to George Washington. Let's move over to Elissa Slotkin, right? Elissa Slotkin, a senator from Michigan. She's been called in by the Department of Justice and Pam Bondi and by Jeanine Pirro, the prosecutor in D.C., for a voluntary meeting about their criminal investigation. All right, stop right there. I mean, her lawyer has already said stop right there. End the criminal investigation. Elissa Slotkin has First Amendment rights to speak out. She has, which is covered by that. You can't criminalize First Amendment speech. She has speech and debate privilege rights as a sitting senator to comment and criticize the president of the United States. And frankly, what she said was absolutely the truth in that video. That under the Code of Military Justice, as interpreted throughout the years, throughout the decades, combined with the Nuremberg principles about the Holocaust and the Nazis, where Nazis would say, I was just following orders when they did all those atrocities. You cannot follow, nor does it give you a defense to say you're just following orders if those orders are unconstitutional. See, when you swear an allegiance and you take an oath the way I have as a lawyer to uphold the Constitution of both New York and Florida and the United States Constitution and become an officer of the court, or in this case, an federal officer, when you do that, you are swearing allegiance to uphold the Constitution, not swearing allegiance to whoever is the occupant of the Oval Office or the occupant of the Pentagon. So you have, within the chain of command, you have independent judgment and thought. In fact, here's what Elissa Slotkin had to say about her being attacked and her going on the offensive. Play that clip.
I'm Senator Elissa Slotkin from Michigan. Last week, U.S. Attorney from the District of Columbia, former Fox host Jeanine Pirro, reached out asking to interview me because of a 90-second video that I filmed in November. This is on top of an FBI inquiry that came in from the Counterterrorism Division late last year. To review the bidding, in November, 6 of us with service and veteran background filmed a video restating the Uniform Code of Military Justice, saying that those in the military have a responsibility to reject illegal orders. In response, the president called for us to be investigated, arrested, and ultimately hanged. He ended up tweeting over a dozen times about that, and yesterday in Michigan falsely said that I stole my 2024 election. In response to the president's tweets, the threats went through the roof. We had over 1,000 threats come in. Over 100 were credible and are being investigated. I went on 24/7 security from Capitol Police. I had a bomb threat at my house. My parents were swatted in the middle of the night, and my siblings had cop cars placed in their driveways. And now he's using his political appointees at the FBI and the Department of Justice to follow through with his threats. To be clear, this is the president's playbook. Truth doesn't matter, facts don't matter, and anyone who disagrees with him becomes an enemy, and he then weaponizes the federal government against them. It's legal intimidation and physical intimidation meant to get you to shut up. He's used it with our universities, our corporations, our legal community, and with politicians who falsely believe that doing his bidding and staying quiet will keep them safe. No, I'm not going to do that, because this president does not represent the views of a majority of Americans. Even if you voted for him, I do not believe that his vision of America is shared by a majority of Americans. Because this country is worth fighting for. Our freedom of speech is worth fighting for. Our values, our core values, are worth fighting for.
So here's how this is going to go down. The senators are going to win, and the Congress people, all members of the intelligence community and or the armed forces. Trump is going to lose again. Trump's going to be made to look even more petty and foolish than already. This is going to help the electoral fortunes of Senator Elissa Slotkin of Michigan, Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, and the rest. And people are going to hold this against the Trump administration as yet another indicia, another metric of their depravity, of their lawlessness, and of their going after patriots. These are patriots. Mark Kelly, he was a shuttle commander. He flew dozens and dozens of U.S. Navy fighter jet missions and was shot at and almost shot down a number of times. He is a hero that Donald draft dodging Trump, can't hold a candle to. And I'm glad that now in this new iteration, this second year of the Trump administration, people like Mark Kelly and Elissa Slotkin are fighting back because we have their back here on the Legal AF and the Midas Touch Network. So in the meantime, on Friday, let's celebrate Friday. Become a Legal AF Substack paid member. Now is the time. I wouldn't be asking for it. We need the resources to meet the moment. Hit the subscribe button and I'll give you 35% off, which I'm running all weekend on Legal AF Substack. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.